Now, if there's one thing we've learned these past few days, it's that consumer permission data is quite literally transforming financial services across virtually all industry segments and geographies. In fact, a recent study by Mastercard showed 9 out of 10 consumers are using technology to manage their finances. Nature reports that ACH volume has increased by 1 billion payments per year over the past 7 years. Well, what if there was an open banking solution that leverages machine learning and advanced analytics to improve the likelihood of payment success, one that works in real time in the background and helps to determine the most optimum timing and rail for a given payment? Well, for more on this, let's bring up our final speaker of the day. Please say hello and a warm welcome to Ryan Beaudry, who's a Senior Vice President of Open Banking, Product and Engineering for North America at Mastercard. Ryan, good morning to you, or good afternoon, depending on where it is, of course, you're joining us for today's conference. It looks sunny, nonetheless. Tell us, where you're dialing in from.
Early afternoon, yeah. So we had the sun just came out, so I had to relocate my monitor. So great to be here with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. The perils of virtual sort of meetings where you have to readjust the lighting at the last second, don't you? Well, it looks good.
Exactly.
And we see you and we hear you nice and clearly. Well, why don't you just very quickly, by way of an introduction, I know we've got a presentation we're looking forward to from yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Mastercard.
Yeah, happy to. So I've now been with Mastercard coming up on 14 years, actually, nice. Having spent a variety of time across different roles, ranging from our product strategy into our product development and launching network tokenization for card on file merchants to secure e-commerce transactions. And then most recently have moved over to lead our network services product organization for open banking, which I'm thrilled to share more about during today's session. And what that includes is really a few different areas. So one is around optimizing the consumer experience to address new opportunities in open banking through consumer choice, empowerment, and access. Another part of that is the inclusion of digital identity. So as we think about the evolution of finance and the emergence of open banking, securing identity and account owner verification is incredibly important. So that's another component. And then the third is our platform services. So really the engine behind how we're powering connectivity and creating best-in-class connectivity to secure those connections with consumer and small business choice.
Fantastic. There's a lot to look forward to there, and I'm sure we'll get to unpack some of it in our Q&A session after the presentation. But we've got your slides ready, Ryan, so don't allow me to take up any more of your time. I'm going to hand over to you now, and I'll see you back here on the main stage after your presentation. Ryan, take us away.
Fantastic. Happy to. All right. So what I would love to do is just take a step back and level set on how we see the future of innovation when it comes to open banking and some of the dramatic, transformative technology changes that we've experienced within our lifetime, starting with the internet. And it's really remarkable when we see some of the advancements and how quickly the pace of innovation is changing to unlock new opportunities. So starting with the evolution of internet and then creating more opportunities for driving mobility. As you referenced at the top of the call, we wouldn't be in a virtual environment had it not been for some of the power of internet mobility and then shifting into cloud to provide greater data access, sustainable data in a controlled manner, in a way that can be accessed across multiple devices, multiple channels, and multiple systems. That then evolved to harnessing the power of big data and what data opportunities we have to create innovative experiences that change the way that we interact, change the way that we travel, change the way that, from a business perspective, we look at consumer engagement or small business engagement and our relationships. And then harnessing the power that comes along with big data in terms of machine learning and AI, et cetera. And today, what we see is yet that we're on the crest of another equally profound technology change when it comes to the use of consumer permission data through open banking. So as we look at this space and as we look at the evolution of what's happening today, the rise of technology will empower both consumers and businesses to benefit from their financial data. In turn, it's our responsibility on behalf of the entire financial services ecosystem to identify new opportunities to leverage this change and provide new opportunities for consumers, small businesses, and businesses alike, whether that be in empowering account opening and creating more insights when consumers and small businesses are creating new accounts, or augmenting lending decisions, or in account-to-account payments. There's a tremendous opportunity that this next emergence of technology change unlocks as an industry. And taking that one step forward, where we see life and the world without open banking is fragmented and inefficient in terms of the digital acceleration bringing change to how people think about money and how people think about their accounts and how people think about account access, from everyday transactions all the way through digital interactions. So without open banking, providing new experiences that utilize consumer permission data is cumbersome, it's inconvenient. Consumers, merchants need to access accounts separately and distinctly. There's not a consolidated way to provide access to then unlock new opportunities when it comes to lending or when it comes to personal financial management. And where we see open banking evolving into on the right-hand side of the screen here is providing people and businesses the ability to safely share their data across innovative experiences that meets these expectations and provides new opportunities for innovation. So as we think about the evolution of consumer permission data and what that unlocks, we are really only on the beginning cusp of how transformative this overall ecosystem will be. And then when we move on to the next slide here in a minute, there we go. Perfect. Bit of a lag. So when we move on to the future of what open banking is today and how we see open banking evolving, is that today, open banking is at the very beginning stages of providing more information related to financial data. So focusing in on current and card accounts, transaction history, cash flow analytics, account owner details, where we see opportunities to further evolve, become in an open finance environment, where we start extending data access across both checking, savings accounts, but in through crypto accounts or payroll providers and mortgage details, to then again provide more insights as we're looking at underwriting or other decisions and other financial services. And then further beyond that, the opportunities are really endless when it comes to consumer permissioned access. So moving from healthcare into B2B opportunities with supply chain and accounting data and tax returns. So the promise of what consumer permission data can deliver is broad and vast, and we're only really at the beginning stages of what that opportunity will unlock as we look at the digital transformation of what open banking will deliver for us as an industry. So as I mentioned, we are still at the early days. So we've seen open banking manifest itself in markets like the US, in different ways in markets like Europe or Asia, in different ways when it becomes to market-driven, consumer-driven preferences versus regulatory-driven preferences, and a combination of each. But what we've seen universally is a willingness and preference in many cases to give access to account data to service providers who are providing innovative, creative services and products that deliver great consumer experiences, helping them to achieve financial goals more effectively. And despite the growing strength and awareness of open banking, it continues to be innovation-focused today with a sizable runway ahead. And when we look at some of the projections that we've seen from industry sources and our own data, is that user growth is expected to increase eight times from what we've seen in 2021 in through 2026. We're also seeing increasing in instant payment growth, projected to grow 30x. And then the API calls that are powering open banking and data access and exchange are projected to grow 12x. So what this requires is that across, as the ecosystem evolves, that we are financial stewards of this information and delivered with trust and transparency in the way that best promotes consumer choice. So at the innovator phase, we're focused on establishing secure connectivity, providing data, providing permissioned access to that data to then deliver on the innovative use cases that are emerging. When we move into scale, we'll see a period of increased focus on data protection, data practices, regulatory compliance, and simplification of the consumer experience to upgrade access as we look at moving from providing access traditionally with what has been username and password combinations to access accounts in through device level authentication and enhanced identity solutions. And then when we move into stability, where we will be establishing trusted platforms that solidify connectivity, spurring a new level of innovation, going back into that open finance ecosystem that we just walked through in a little bit more detail. So how do we think about this at Mastercard? So at Mastercard, we continue to accelerate our multi-rail strategy focused in on three primary areas of the business. One is expanding in payments, so the core of our network for consumers, businesses, and governments. The second is the work that we're doing from extending our services in data services, cyber and intelligence solutions to enhance transactions and drive customer value. And the third area where open banking fits in is around the embracing of new networks to enable open banking, digital identity, and other adjacencies. But ultimately, in order to be credible and provide the best possible consumer experiences, it ultimately depends on the trust that's established in this ecosystem. So based on decades of work, partnering across financial institutions and across merchants and across acquirers across the financial ecosystem, we know and understand that giving consumers control of their data creates a robust environment for new use cases around data sharing. So our commitment to driving connectivity and choice for consumers and small businesses is really at the core of our strategy. And as we look at the evolution and scale, moving from innovation to scaling to overall adoption of open banking, we can help create and drive greater value and confidence in the experiences across the ecosystem. So how do we do that? One, secure API connectivity. So utilizing direct connections when available to provide secure data access for consumer and small business accounts. Second, data continuity. So empowering consumers with continued access to their data as it continues to evolve so that it's not stagnant and we can offer up consistent and evolving consumer and small business experiences. Third, data privacy. So ensuring that the data is used as it's permissioned and that data usage is minimized to the instances by which consumers or small business have provided access to that data, which leads into consumer protection. So providing protection as it relates to fraud, enhancing identity verification solutions to secure account access, as well as looking at opportunities for driving improved dispute resolution and settlement, so leveraging some of the core of Mastercard's franchise network. Transparency, providing full visibility into who has access to that data and how that data is being used. And then ultimately compliance, so granting assurance that all services are running through a compliant platform and that we're increasing consumer protections. And then lastly, gatekeeping and scale. So providing clarity and certainty as to who has access to the platform and scale so that as we bring in new participants to access different layers of account access, that there's an opportunity for consumers and businesses to benefit from an overall scaled approach. So when we have that level of trust established, where we see on the next slide is that all boats rise. So the benefit is universal. We see benefits for consumers. We see benefits for small businesses. And we ultimately see this unlocking a new set of opportunities for inclusion in the financial ecosystem. So we've already seen a wave of new innovations on securing account opening with smarter identity verification to help reduce fraud and reduce friction in the account opening journey. So whether that be opening up a new checking account or opening up a new credit account, providing intelligence in terms of who that consumer is, how they can access their account, that they're linking to that account, or wallet accounts as well. There's a number of opportunities in securing account opening through the benefits that open banking provides. We're also evolving in terms of our multi-rail strategy. So offering more ways to pay and get paid. So with enhanced intelligence that helps inform timing decisions as well as ultimately the payment rail by which payments are processed. So continuing to evolve in terms of multi-rail and account-based payments. And then from there, we're offering up new opportunities for our clients to increase loyalty with consumers and small businesses by delivering financial insights through financial management, such as your available balance as you're looking at making certain decisions. So providing transparency into what that balance is and how that information can be used is another core component. And then on the lending side of the house, where we've really seen an increase of open banking use cases, is providing permissioned access to data to create greater inclusion, specifically on informing underwriting decisions. Think thin file, no file consumers or small businesses. So augmenting information traditionally used in underwriting decision with more attributes and insights, such as income and employment verification, ultimately minimizing risk for lenders. And then small businesses. So extending what's been designed for consumers and applying that into small business use cases so that we're leading in technology to help partners fuel some of the same innovations for small businesses that were typically reserved for only the largest businesses, and ultimately provide new opportunities to improve operations, increase diversity in small businesses, and provide greater data responsibility to control access to capital and manage access to capital. So who are we working with to enable these new experiences? And here you'll see a few examples on the screen of some of our partners that have unlocked new opportunities, leveraging and harnessing the power of open banking. So we work across the United States, in Europe, in markets coming like Australia, with a number of financial institutions, as well as some notable recent partnerships that were announced, inclusive of Jack Henry and most recently JP Morgan Chase, to bring a pay-by-bank use case to the US market, effectively modernizing ACH payments for large monthly bills like rent, utilities, bill payment, tuition, etc. Some other notable success stories include Tesco Bank. So by initiating rapid and simple card payment repayments, we've helped 2.5 million credit card customers easily manage and pay balances. Brex utilizes our open banking capabilities to provide access to capital for small businesses. And in this, they've found that when utilizing open banking data, companies were able to secure 10 to 20x higher credit limits, providing more access to capital. In the US, we work closely with GSEs, including Freddie Mac, to provide digital verification and augment credit underwriting with rent history and cash flow analytics to improve digital verifications. And then Tomo leverages our open banking data to provide credit cards for individuals that typically have limited to no credit history profiles, to then offer up new opportunities. And they provided over 300,000 customers with available credit in order to bring consumers into access financial services that were otherwise unavailable, given no credit history. So overall, where this leads us is on a commitment and a promise that together the possibilities are truly priceless when it comes to open banking. And I'd just like to reinforce as we close out here that the digitization has transformed our routine transactions into financial experiences where data is as valuable as dollars and deserves the same protection. And that people own their own financial data and they should benefit from it. So as we're collectively bringing to market new innovative experiences and have a lens towards scaling those innovative experiences, open banking lets businesses, consumers unleash the power of their data to access these new experiences. And through the open banking platform that we as Mastercard are delivering, the expectation is to allow more opportunities for consumers to gain access to financial services, inclusive of delivering on a multi-rail strategy, backed by and harnessed by secure and consumer permissioned access to accounts, combined with the value that we're providing through digital identity.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm happy to turn it back over and open it up for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed just listening to your some of the slides there and the information you're able to raise. You know, your passion for this topic really does shine through. I should just say that. I really enjoyed listening to you. And folks, I'm told we've got just under 10 minutes left of our summit here. So if you have any questions, this is the time to get them into us, because there won't be any more opportunities after this where our content sessions are concerned. So get them in for us and we'll bring you up if we can. But Ryan, let me just come to you with a couple that I've got here, if I may. You shared some of the examples there, some really interesting stuff with some of the partners you were talking about, like Tesco and Brex. But in your opinion, you know, what are some of the best use cases then for open banking as you see it?
Yeah, so great question. And certainly some of the more mature use cases or evolving maturity use cases are around underwriting and lending.
Yeah.
So providing more access through open banking data to make more informed decisions as it relates to underwriting and decisioning. So augmenting and complementing what is traditionally delivered in the form of credit scores or other factors as part of those decisions. So certainly lending as one.
Mm-hmm.
A second core use case is around account opening and
Mm-hmm.
providing the ability to both verify account information, verify identity information, and secure an account opening. So whether that be opening an account through a BNPL, buy now, pay later provider,
Mm-hmm.
to then offer up an opportunity both to create a new account using open banking data and link an account for repayment, as was one of the use cases that was referenced. That's certainly another opportunity. And then third is around small businesses.
Yeah.
So small businesses where data may be limited when it comes to offering up financial services, creating a 360-degree profile around what that small business is to then provide more opportunities for that small business to access capital and ultimately grow their business. So those would be three that I would highlight.
Fantastic. Well, you touched on two there that I've actually got two follow-up questions related to. The first, of course,
Sure.
buy now, pay later as a trend. You know, that is clearly one of the trends that is really driving, you know, the appetite for open banking. And can you share any others that you, as you see it, you know, other key trends that are really driving this growth that we're seeing with open banking?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say evolving consumer preferences towards shifting digital is one. So buy now, pay later falls into that bucket. Digital wallets and creating opportunities to link your or provide access, permissioned access to your accounts to enable new and innovative use cases through digital wallets, whether that be to support personal financial management or providing more opportunities for lending decisions through what wallets enable. And then crypto could be another opportunity within the evolution. So as consumers and other users are creating and establishing crypto wallets, providing access to accounts to then provide a rail to enable and facilitate fiat into an exchange is certainly another opportunity that we're deeply looking at. And then I would say that another major force that's driving this change are market-driven markets such as the United States, where most of the innovation has come through organic means, identifying needs and use cases in evolving financial services. And then in other instances, there are regulatory conditions that are moving in that direction, such as many markets in Europe. Sorry for the dog in the background. Beauties of working from home.
No need to apologize.
Those would be a couple of examples that I would just point to in terms of the trends that are evolving in this space.
Yeah, and no need to apologise, Ryan. It's not a barking dog or something going on in the background if it's, you know, a virtual summit. That's what the beauty of it all is, and home working. But another question from me, and actually just as a follow-up to the point you raised earlier there, you were talking about small businesses, I think, and obviously we've got an array of organisations here this week with us in the virtual audience. How can open banking better serve sort of small to medium-sized businesses then?
Great question. So when it comes to the data associated with small business decisioning on underwriting specifically, we see a tremendous opportunity to use what has been traditional means of understanding bank statements and years in business and augmenting that with new and emerging analytics, such as total amount of spend and percent of repeat purchases and overall year-on-year weekly average ticket sizes. So increasing the intelligence as it relates to small business lending and access to capital is certainly a tremendous opportunity to unlock new opportunities for small businesses using open banking data and improving the analytics associated with understanding every cash flow analytics, such as seasonal swings in business that may result in uneven payments. So providing more competitive real-time data, smarter analytics to identify what some of those seasonality impact or this impact of seasonality might be. And then ultimately improve some of the operational efficiencies when it comes to, as a lender, mitigating risk and improving ultimately underwriting decisions for fintechs and small businesses, really.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you a quick question regarding the customer too, just putting them firmly into the conversation. It's kind of been a core theme of our summit this week. What do banks fundamentally need to be thinking about in terms of the customer's open banking journey?
Yeah, great question. So one is around access and securing that account access through establishing a tokenized access to that account. So moving away very quickly from what in the past has been legacy screen scraping type models to access that account to providing best-in-class connectivity in a tokenized manner so that it removes the need and any dependency on leveraging a username and shifting beyond that. Second is around providing the best user experience around that too. So as we're thinking about consumer permissioned access, providing disclosures in terms of how that information would be used, providing transparency in terms of who would be using that information, connecting between the end app, merchant, service provider, in through the data aggregator who's collecting and facilitate that data exchange in through the financial institution or bank, so that there's transparency end to end as part of that consumer journey. And then ultimately looking at open banking for opportunities in which banks businesses can continue to evolve through those use cases that I had mentioned when it comes to underwriting, lending, account opening, multi-rail payments. So understanding some of the emergence of the trends and innovation in the space and ingesting some of that innovation into banks' own practices. So whether it be creating a new account with a financial institution on the checking side and providing rails by which you can help fund and secure that account, or by linking in identity verification solutions to both identify that the individual or secure the identity of that individual and link that identity to an account. So multiple ways in which I think both on the data outside as well as the data inside can benefit from open banking.
Yeah, and it's truly innovative stuff. It really is, and such a fascinating topic as well. And it seems like such an apt way for us to close out our summit here today, because that's all we have the time for, I'm afraid, Ryan, here and now. As I say, feels like we've only just scratched the surface in many ways, doesn't it? But it's been a great presentation.
Absolutely.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. And just want to say thanks for closing us out here on the summit.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Fantastic.